Hey everybody, it's Chris. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video on a discovery of witches. Today we're going to be covering episodes 4 and 5 for a very specific reason that will become evident as soon as these credits roll. So let's just jump in. Okay, so episode 4, yada, 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 stuff happens. Mostly stuff that was in the book, but some stuff that wasn't. We got story on what's happening in the present day. It was mostly filler in a lot of sense. Not that big of a deal. What we need to talk about is episode 5. Now, I know if you're not a book reader, this probably won't feel like such a big deal, but oh my God, they screwed up Philippe. I mean, the entire sequence at Septour after about minute 3 of his screen time was all just terrible, destructive. I don't understand why they would even think about doing this crap. And I know that seems harsh, but if you had read the book, you would know what a betrayal of his character this is. And how they're going to have the resolution that you really want from the book between Diana and Philippe now, it's impossible. If they just hammer it in, it's going to be so dissatisfying and so unbelievable and just horrible. Let me back up now that I've vented a little bit and give you the skinny, as it were, on why this is so bad and what exactly changed. Philippe in the books is very much like the one you see on screen in the sense that he is very demanding, overbearing, domineering. He's the patriarch of this family and has been for centuries. And so he is very forceful and his presence is very big and fills the room. But he is also, especially at this time, a gentleman in many ways. And although he was completely dead set against Diana and Matthew being together, it was more of these two young, impetuous children don't know what they're doing, the harm they will bring on themselves and their families and all the creatures of the world. And for their own good, as much as everyone else's good, I'm going to put a stop to this. And when he realizes that they aren't actually mated, as we hear in the episode, he's like, oh, well, good. This is good because it's not too late. I can correct this insanity now, send these two people back in their on their way, on their own paths, and everything is fine. But he is never cruel to Diana in the way that you see in this episode. I don't even understand what the point of that entire sequence was with the witch coming and trying to take all of Diana's memories. I mean, the point was obviously, as we saw in the preview for the next episode, that Philippe wants not only to end their relationship, but to wipe out all of her memories of their family. And so he was taking advantage of this witch, apparently, who has that power miraculously, who just showed up at his door unannounced. But it just doesn't make any sense. It also doesn't make any sense that he just stood there while it's happening. He makes Matthew stop, and then Diana grabs Matthew's knife and then just murders the dude. And I get it, justifiable homicide, self-defense, but that's not her character either. That entire scene was stupid and served no purpose in the actual reason that they are at Septour. There's a very, very important reason that they went there in the book. Something happens while they are there that is foundational to what happens in the third book, that even the third book could happen. And that hinges upon the relationship between Diana and Philippe, which is irrevocably broken now. You can't, if she is all rainbows and puppy dogs and unicorns with him when she leaves now, you just destroyed the show for me. There's no way after what he did, stood there while that kind of violation against a woman, even if it was a woman of that time, is unacceptable. But for her especially, she's used to being empowered and having autonomy over her own body and her own mind. And he just stood there and watched while someone tried to take all of that away from her. And they're going to be okay at the end. It's ridiculous. And so I am obviously worked up. And mostly because they've done such an amazing job so far. The things they have changed make sense. Whether I like them or not, they make a great deal of sense in the context of the show. This is the first time that I can remember that they have just gone so far astray from the source material and made decisions so bad that it harms the ability of the story to be told in the way that it needs to be told to be believed. And I just, like I said, I can't even imagine how that's going to get worked out. And then the previews in the next episode, it's going to be just as bad with Matthew and Philippe fighting and all. It doesn't make any sense, especially when the whole point of going back to Septour for Matthew was the pain of seeing Philippe alive again after what happened to him and what he was put through and what Matthew had to help him do. And that was supposed to be this moment of pathos for Matthew, that he was dealing with trying to protect Diana and being protective of her because of their relationship and not breaking down every time he's around Philippe. And they've just destroyed that too, because now he's just going to be pissed at him the whole time and being grumpy vampire instead of sad vampire, which is what he was supposed to be. And it's just and the whole thing with the keys was different in the show and made no sense. The way she responded to it in the novels, they're at Septour for a while because a lot has to happen. And so, since she was the highest ranking woman there, she was given the keys of the house, which is, in some sense, like she said, it's about the domestic management of the house, and it's an image of servitude in some places, but it's also about authority because she is in charge of the house. And Matthew was the one who objected to it, and Diana used it as a way to hopefully not curry favor with Philippe, but get into a place where she could have a relationship with him, where she could bring them over to their side, because without that, they're kind of dead in the water. And having things go the way they were, where she was just like, I don't do your laundry, which I get, it didn't fit with what needed to happen in the story. But of course, we found out not too much later that they've just jettisoned that entire narrative from the story in the TV show. So in hindsight, it fits okay with their combative relationship and the antagonistic nature of it, which seems like it's going to be that way the whole time again, unless they try to miraculously have them make up and be, aw shucks, this is great together, which I won't accept at this point. It's there's no way they can justify that. So yeah, that's it. Pretty short, emotional video from me, but that was really the biggest issue. I mean, there were other things that weren't in the books, like the entire trip from the shores of France to Septour. None of that stuff was really in the books. They just skipped to what mattered, which was Septour. I did like that they added that, showing how difficult the trip was, because we in modern day like to think that we could be fine. Like, there are bunches of movies about going back in time, and like Timeline is one of them, where we would be fine, and it's just not the case. Where people were used to much harder living and much more drastic circumstances. I mean, just getting from the coast of France to Septour, you would just take a car today, and it's no problem. You might have a sore butt after a couple hours in the car, but it's different riding, especially side saddle for a woman, over hilly country with no real roads. It's all just grass and gravel and things. And so that was nice to see that moment in there. But it was new for the show. And that's really the only moment in the episode that I thought was a nice change, was showing that. Interested in seeing what they're going to do going forward now that they've kind of destroyed the storyline from the books, how they're going to try to save it, and how they're going to try to justify, or maybe they won't at all, and they'll just change entirely what happened at Septur and how that plays into the third book, which, might be interesting, but I really prefer what happened in the books because it was intelligent and thoughtful and gave you a really good moment. Especially the final moments with Diana and Philippe in the book that's my favorite moment in this book. And that's again why I'm so upset, because there is no way in hell you can have that moment now and it be convincing and believable. All right, that's it for me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. I will not hold it against you, especially today with how much I ranted all emotional about the episode and what they changed. And if you have not read the books and you really enjoyed this episode, I apologize for poo-pooing on it. And I am overjoyed that you enjoyed it, because that's what this is about. Having something that you love and you enjoy and get something out of is what matters. And that's why I'm so passionate about the books, because I really loved the books. And I thought especially these parts of the books were some of the best. And so not seeing them show up on screen was a real letdown, and it just felt like a betrayal in some sense of what I loved about in the books. But if that is not your experience, hats off to you. And I will try to be better in the next video, which will also be a far departure from the source material. With that, I think we are done. That leaves me just to say, if you have a good show you're watching or a good book you're reading, let me know about them, because I would love to have more to read and watch. Till I see you guys in the next video, have a good one.